statistics are slightly in his favor. I don't necessarily agree with DJ Etter's style that the longer the game goes on Monty Hall, the better it favors Terrans. I disagree with that because I do feel that if Protoss can establish an island expansion early on, they are better at being able to defend it. And generally speaking, Terrans don't have dropships in their build versus Protoss in most games, so that extra investment would take some time. So I don't think we're going to see that. I don't feel that Monty Hall is a map that favors Terran players late game. I think it favors Protoss pretty much all the way through, but obviously Terran have more of a chance of surviving as the game progresses, as they get a lot of Goliaths and tanks up. I think it is important for Terran players to make sure that the Protoss players don't get a base up in the island expansion. I think that's the most important thing, is to scan periodically. And it is very difficult. I mean, you know, if you're going to make a starport for science vessels or whatever, or even dropships, I think it might be handy to even build a single Wraith, because it would cost a lot of energy and scans that would have to be wasted in order to scan around the island expansions every so often. So rather than do that, if they invested in a Wraith and kept it alive, they could just use it to scout around. And I think that could be a useful investment. That would be one way you could get around it, because the problem with those island expansions is that they are very difficult to scout, especially on a map such as Monty Hall. And it'll be vital. I think scouting obviously is going to play a vital role on that map. Anyway, so Stork versus Iris. Who do I think is going to win? It's really difficult to call. It's really difficult to call because, yes, Stork has been stomping Terrans in his path like an elephant stomping through a forest and just destroying them, throwing them aside as if they were mere branches and leaves of branches. And no Terran has yet been able to challenge Stork. And I don't think yesterday Firebat Hero really, even though it went to Game 5, I don't think Stork was at any point at risk of losing that match. And they're now showing the hate of my life. You know, most people have loves of their lives. I have Monty Hall, which is the hate of my life. Python being the love of my life. But, God, I like that 3D view, but I just, I just hate this map. I hate this map because it's so damn unfair to zero players. Otherwise, it's a fun map. Protoss versus Protoss and Protoss versus Terran, we tend to see a lot of fun games on it, I admit that. But it just completely negates one of the two races in StarCraft, and that just annoys me. And it would be fine if we had another map in the map pool that was kind of a guaranteed reserve, but I don't think we've ever had a map like that. So, it'll be interesting to see. And, what's up with Stork's Hooper? She seems to be, her eyes seem to be like black holes in the golden stare, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so who's gonna win? Stork versus Iris. I think it's difficult to call. I know a few people have said Stork, a lot of people would favor Stork to win, especially against his performance, especially with his performance against Firebat Hero yesterday. I'm not gonna comment on that because I just have a hard time believing what Firebat Hero was doing in those first two games, and I don't think Iris is gonna do the same. And yes, you could arguably say that Firebat Hero is the top Terran playing right now at this point in time, and it'll be interesting to see if he can recover from that crushing defeat yesterday and how he recovers from it. Certainly, it's not going to be easy for him, and the intro is just going to play now, so I'm just going to shut up for a couple of seconds. But I do think Iris has a good chance, and I do think that today will be the epic match we were hoping for yesterday. So I'll be back when the countdown starts. 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. Let's get this game going. So let's hope for an interesting and competitive matchup between these two guys. Stork is yellow, and looks like he is at the top left corner of the map at the 11 o'clock position, and Iris is in teal at the bottom right corner of the map, excuse me, in the 5 o'clock position. So as I said, I think expanding fast, I think Firebat Hero had the right idea on this map. 1 barracks into expansion, or even 14cc I think is viable. I don't think a Protoss player will really risk, especially Stork. He isn't someone who usually goes for those risky strategies, and yesterday when he did go for them versus Firebat Hero, he failed on both occasions. So I think he has probably learned from that and probably will try to play a standard game. And I think Iris will be comfortable doing the same. So we might be in for a longish game here. Let's hope we are. And I would certainly like to see Iris fast expand, relatively fast expand. But at the same time, and Stork, yes, setting up that pylon in his main, right next to his Nexus, so that's obvious that he's not going to be trying any sort of early kind of cheese build or any kind of proxy build. And that's expected. I mean, why should he? Why? He doesn't need to. He's been playing well. He's been playing comfortably, playing standard StarCraft and winning. The important thing obviously for him is to scout to make sure that Iris is not doing anything either, but I'm sure he's confident that Iris is not a person who leans towards rushing. So, and Iris indeed starting up that first supply depot in his main, so it doesn't look like he's going to do anything silly here as well. I mean, one of the things that you can do though is to get that proxy barracks up just for scouting purposes. That's really useful for an early scout, and that's one of the things that you would like to see Terran players do, and they have done it to great effect assets early on in the game, and it definitely helps if you're going for kind of an early sort of tank push. Having that barracks floating over the enemy base, that can help. And you know, I've said it before in my commentaries with Savior and Iris, and I'll say it again. If Iris is sexy, then please give me a plane ticket to Korea right now, because those girls are, you know, if they find Iris sexy, I'm gonna be inundated, absolutely inundated with Korean birds if they find. And Stork has fast expanded, so not surprising at all here. Stork fast expanding, and he's expanded just south of his base, and he's now scouting ahead with that probe. It'll be interesting to see if he tries to set up a proxy panel or something. I don't think he will, because he has invested a lot of resources in that fast expansion. And Arya's going for the fast expansion in the middle lane, so both players going for fast expansions in the middle lane. I did comment yesterday in the Protoss, in the Stork versus Firebat Hero matchup, that Terran players would have more of an advantage if the fast expansions were on the same lane, since they would be able to defend and push at the same time, because especially early mid-game, Terran players don't have the resources on a map such as Monty to be able to push and defend at the same time, and that does make a little bit of a difference in the way the game is played. It does make them play more defensively, and Stork just trying to get into Iris' space and scout with that probe, and he should be able to get in quite comfortably. He does get in, so he's going to be able to see exactly what Iris has and what his build is. Iris obviously opting not to scout yet, and that is a little bit risky from Iris. I mean, if Stork had gone for some kind of a proxy build, some kind of a rush, Iris going for that fast command center would have found himself in a huge amount of trouble, and Iris now starting up his trajectory. So both players with identical builds thus far in the game, and it'll be interesting to see what comes of it. I'm sure Stork realizes by seeing what Iris has in his base that Iris has fast expanded, so it's just a question of discovering where, and he's obviously going to try, he's probably going to pick either the middle lane or the top lane, whichever one he picks, and whichever one he doesn't see an expansion. I'm sure he's going to assume the expansion is going to be in the other lane, but for now he seems to be content to scout inside Iris' main, and Stork has started up his tech, he started up his cybernetics core as well, so it looks like we are going to be bunkering down for a longish game. It'll be interesting to see what Iris does here. Iris seems to be going for kind of a fairly standard build. He's assuming Stork is fast expanded, and you know, luckily for him it's paying off on this occasion, but if Stork had been proxying, Iris would I'm sure find himself in a lot of trouble, because he's only got a marine out now, one marine out, and he started up his factory. By now Stork could have had 2 or 3 zealots in his main, maybe a dragoon in his main. I don't know if Stork had really gone for it. So it'll be interesting to see. Stork's Reaver Micro is absolutely monstrous, and it'll be interesting to see how Iris defends against that, because Stork just usually does a lot of damage to the Terran economy with that Reaver Micro. And we did see yesterday Firebat Hero made that crucial mistake on Loki, where he had a starport up, and instead of building a wraith, he built a dropship, and he paid the price for it. He lost about 9 SCVs to Stork in that Reaver drop, and I think that's what gave Stork enough of an advantage to build upon. Sorry, I'm just getting another PM here. Anyway, so setting up for a longish game here, guys, and hopefully it'll be a deserving game of an OSL semi-final. I've got to say that I feel that thus far both MSL semi-finals were distinctly underwhelming. They were definitely not a lot of fun in terms of the quality of the games. They were both completely anticlimactic in their execution. Isu versus Gorush was lame, and so was Firebat Hero versus Stork to a large extent. And you know, maybe this is my what is that? The Stork monster? I don't know, that's ridiculous. That was an interesting piece of clip art. But as I was saying, I just felt that, you know, I don't know if I can really make the argument that it was the map that was responsible for it, but whatever. And it looks like Stork has actually triple expanded. It looks like Stork has set up another Nexus at the right of his base at the top, at the 12 o'clock position. It looks like Stork has set up a third Nexus there. I'm just seeing it on the minimap, and I'm just noticing it now, so I'm not sure if that's a Nexus he started up. I obviously missed that in the middle of the talk. And Iris is going for the 2 command center, 2 factory, 2 machine shop, and that is something that I feel is very effective versus Protoss players. But Iris doesn't seem to have started up that engineering bay, and yes, Stork has started up that Nexus that I saw on the radar, so Stork going for a triple expand. And that is a little bit risky for Stork, because that means he's going to obviously be a little bit slower getting Reaver out, and it's going to be very crucial what amount of damage he can or cannot do, and that bunker just gets finished in time. So that's going to slow Stork down, that's going to push Stork back. And Stork doing a good job. He needs to keep the pressure on and keep Iris busy in his own base as long as possible, because once Iris realizes that Stork has gone for that triple Nexus build, Stork is going to be a little bit of trouble, because Iris is going to be able to pressure fairly early with the two barracks with the 2 factories that he's had, and Stork's robotics facility only now being complete. So Iris is going to have plenty of time to get his air defense in place. And we're going to enter a very crucial phase of the game here, and it's going to depend on how well, and Stork is just building his 3rd, 4th, and 5th gateway, and it's going to be a very crucial stage of the game whether or not Iris realizes that the Stork has gone for the triple expand. It looks like Iris is setting up an SCV to scout the top lane now, and it looks like Iris is going to, okay, it was a probe from Stork coming back, so, but Iris is sending his vultures up the top lane, and I think Stork has left that top lane open, but he has maneuvered his units, and all those probes are going to be vulnerable.